This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. A woman is executed in Georgia.
We have a saying in CFA that faculty working conditions are student learning conditions.
CSU faculty and staff want a 5% raise.
Chopper to short. Seager. And that is how the West was won.
And the Dodgers win their division for the third time in a row.
Hello and welcome to Matador News. I'm Everardo Tamayo.
And I'm Melissa Hernandez. An Oklahoma death row inmate is scheduled to be executed this afternoon, hours after last night's execution of the only woman on Georgia's death row. Callie Gissendaner, who was convicted of orchestrating her husband's murder almost 20 years ago, died by lethal injection at midnight last night. The execution came after Georgia Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, and a federal appeals court all denied requests for a stay of execution. Pope Francis also asked for Gissendaner not to be executed. A letter on his behalf was sent to the Georgia State Board of Pardons and Parolees yesterday, asking for a sentence that would better express both justice and mercy. In Oklahoma, Richard Glossop is facing death for the murder of his boss in 1977. Some CSUN students say they are against the death penalty, but it depends on the situation.
No, I don't think that it's moral. I understand where people might think that it is, but I don't think that it's the right way to do things.
In my opinion, I don't think that the death penalty should be used in any situation. However, once it's been established as a law and people need to understand that that's the way that things are going to be run.
California has not executed an inmate since 2006. A proposed ballot initiative would abolish the death penalty in California. The proposal needs 365,000 signatures to appear on the ballot.
Russia has begun carrying out airstrikes in Syria. Russian officials say they will target ISIS fighters as part of a plan to fight terrorism. The State Department says a Russian official informed the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad about the missions. They also requested that American military aircraft avoid Syrian airspace during Russian operations. French President François Hollande agrees with the U.S. that Syria cannot continue with President Bashar Assad in office.
The future of Syria cannot be with Bashar al-Assad. Accordingly, during this entire period of time, we must look for this political solution while protecting our interests.
Assad says his forces are overstretched and has long counted on Russia's support.
The Senate has approved a temporary spending bill to keep the government open. The final vote was 78-20. The bill prevents a repeat of the partial federal shutdown of 2 years ago. It will also finance the government through December 11th. Now, there is more time to negotiate a more wide-ranging budget deal for the rest of fiscal 2016. The Senate vote will likely destroy Tea Party lawmakers' chances to defund Planned Parenthood.
Multiple shootings in Los Angeles over the weekend have left 19 wounded and 5 dead. The LA Police Department has been sending more officers onto the streets for months. This is an effort to stop the violence that has risen in the city this year. Police had seen violence in South LA slowing down until last weekend. LAPD officials say most of these attacks were gang-related.
Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis says she met privately with Pope Francis in Washington last night. Davis says during their meeting, the Pope grabbed her hands and hugged her, thanking her for her courage. A Vatican spokesman confirmed today that the meeting took place, but declined to elaborate. Davis has been at the center of a nationwide controversy over whether government employees and private businesses have a legal right to refuse to serve same-sex couples. She spent 5 days in jail for defying a court order to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples.
The 2 suspects in the murder of the 21-year-old UCLA student have pleaded not guilty. Detectives are looking into whether the killing had anything to do with her recent prosecution. Andrea Del Vesco was charged with possession of drugs including ecstasy and meth over the summer. Prosecutors say one of them stabbed her after burglarizing another apartment and then breaking into her home. The other suspect waited in the car. Both men face on 1 account of murder and 2 accounts of first-degree burglary.
An amnesty program for unpaid traffic tickets will help Californians pay their traffic violations. The Judicial Council will let drivers get a 50 to 80% discount on tickets that should have been paid by January 1st, 2013. Payment plans will be offered, and those who lost their licenses will be able to have them reinstated. Drivers who have parking tickets and DUI convictions will not be qualified for the program. The fines were raised during the state's budget crisis. The program starts tomorrow.
The California State University Faculty Union may be preparing for a strike on all 23 campuses. That's if the CSU doesn't approve a salary increase for this year's academic year. The California Faculty Association represents about 25,000 CSU faculty members. That includes professors, lecturers, librarians, counselors, and athletic coaches. Faculty representatives are negotiating for a 5% increase. CFA CSUN Chapter President Nate Thomas says low faculty salaries do have an impact on students.
If we don't strike and we don't get the wages that we deserve, that hurts the students. We have a saying in CFA that faculty working conditions are student learning conditions.
CSU got a funding increase of $217 million in this year's budget, but the faculty says that funding could cover better pay for instructions and expanded access for students.
Now let's hop over to the Sundial with reporter Stephen Fassi about a new campaign at Cal State Northridge's Oviatt Library.
I'm here with Mr. Mike Villalobos, the guest services supervisor at the Matador Library.
Oh.
So,
hey buddy.
Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
Now, the CSUN's Oviatt Library is a really strong foundation for the campus, so I'm not the only person that goes there to socialize. So tell me about this new quiet level campaign.
Good thing you said socialize, because that's what we wanted to address, is the students that go there to socialize. And we recognize that the library is becoming more of like a hub for the campus. So we wanted to see what we can do to accommodate you all who come there, to meet and greet your friends and take a quick break before classes, in addition to the students who go there to study. So we only have one building, so what we did is we repurposed some space. So at this point right now, it's just a test pilot program to see if it actually works, because we're not in the midst of the big time study time right now. Usually that's right after Thanksgiving or right around that time. So right now it's like a testing phase. So that's what we're doing. On the lower levels, first floor and the second floor, that's considered our social floors. So you can talk, you can discuss, you can have group work there. Best place to do it is there. Third floor is kind of like a middle area. We call it the whisper zone. So it's like, say, me and you are studying together, and we're just slightly discussing some things. It's not like we have a group of us here and we're all chit-chatting. Some light discussion. And also we have library administration offices there, as well as a learning resource center. So there's always some business going on there. So we couldn't really make it a quiet floor. And we wanted to accommodate both the, experiences for the students, so we wanted to try to be fair. So we got our social floors, third floor is a whisper zone, and fourth floor is quiet. You can't say anything, it's just dead silent. You go there and you take a nice place to take a nap.
Okay, now is this going to be like enforced with like ticket, like, hey, you're being too loud, we're going to write you a ticket, or is this just an awareness, or how can students prevent that?
Well, what it is that for the way we enforce it is there's a couple ways. We walk around every hour, just check on things, but usually when we walk around, people know who we are and they kind of quiet down anyways. That doesn't really solve a lot of problems. The other method is from you all, when you're on the floors and you're studying, and let's say you're in a quiet zone, and it should be quiet there, you give us a call at 818-677-2274. And you can also text us, which I completely forgot the number, but you can look on our CSUN Library website, and you can text us as well. So if you want to be discreet. Because when you're on a floor and you go on and complain about a group, they kind of know who you are.
Right.
And I'd rather prefer you guys to text, because I don't want to have any confrontations between anyone really. You know,
Gotcha.
I'd rather deal with that brunt of the issue if there is confrontation in the first place.
So if people go to the 4th floor, they don't have to like wear like tape on their mouth, right?
If they like to. No, but that's the gist of the idea. Yeah, you want dead silence and it has to be completely quiet.
So let's zip on back into the studio with Melissa for some hard news.
Thank you, Stephen. And now over to Mariah Robinson with an update on sports.
The Los Angeles Dodgers win the National League West Division for a 3rd year straight. This is the first time in franchise history they finished in first place 3 years in a row. Dodgers ace Clayton Kershaw pitched a complete game 1-hit shutout while striking out 13 batters. They hit 3 home runs on their way to an 8-0 victory. This is the 2nd consecutive year Dodgers have clinched the division against their rival, the San Francisco Giants. With last night's loss, the Giants have officially been eliminated from the postseason. Matador news reporter Valerie Hernandez is in the newsroom with reactions from the last night's Dodger game.
Thank you, Mariah. CSUN students that I talked to were happy the Dodgers won last night.
I couldn't say anything. I was just in my house, just screaming, running around. It's crazy because every year we're waiting for that World Series. We haven't won it since 1988, but I'm waiting for 2015.
It was great. It was the 3rd year, so that's good, but I doubt they're going to win the actual series.
Pretty excited they won. I missed the game. I wasn't paying attention, but I figured they'd win anyway, so go Dodgers.
Dodgers postseason gear is on sale now. The Top of the Park store at Dodger Stadium will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. today. However, tickets to the playoff games are sold out. Now back to you, Mariah.
Chicago Bulls point guard Derrick Rose is recovering from surgery today. Rose suffered a left orbital fracture after being elbowed in the face during their practice. Derrick Rose suffered his injury in the team's season opening practice on Tuesday. He was transported to Rush University Medical Center where an eye socket fracture was determined. There is no word yet on when Derrick Rose will return to practice. The CSUN women's volleyball team starts conference with 2 straight wins. The team defeated UC Irvine and UC Davis over the weekend. Prior to the wins, CSUN was on an 8-game losing streak. CSUN's outside hitter, Sienna Stenson, says it's really big for the team to win conference games.
Well, it felt really good because I think going into our conference games, we knew that we had a fresh start, so we could kind of throw our preseason record behind us and just move forward and improve for conference.
The team hits the road this weekend for 2 games against UC Santa Barbara and Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Now let's go to Desiree Lopez for the latest in business.
Thank you, Mariah. Fashion empire creator Ralph Lauren is stepping down as CEO. The 75-year-old said he plans to remain active in the company as executive chairman and chief creative officer. Investors seem to approve the move as the stock increased by 5% in the after-hours trading. Former H&M executive and Gap president Stephen Larson will replace Lauren as the new CEO. The company made nearly $8 billion in sales last fiscal year. Ralph Lauren was created in 1967 and is most known for his Polo brand. Apple now has another problem. The new iOS 9 upgrade is surprising customers, but not in a good way. The upgrade comes with a feature called Wi-Fi Assist, automatically allowing your phone to download data via your cell phone plan. But users beware. This can lead to high bills at the end of the month. Users have the option to go to settings and turn this feature off. Now, let's send it back to Mariah with latest in health.
A salmonella outbreak in the U.S. has left 3 dead and over 130 people in the hospital. Health officials say the salmonella poisoning came from cucumbers imported from Mexico. More than 600 illnesses have been reported. About half of these illnesses are in children under 18. Deaths have been reported in California, Arizona, and Texas. The contaminated cucumbers were distributed to 34 states across the country. Andrew and Williamson's Fresh Produce of San Diego and Custom Produce have recalled their brands of cucumbers. The World Health Organization is changing guidelines for HIV prevention and treatment. 9 million more people than previous years will need treatment and protective doses. Previously, HIV treatment and prevention was recommended for homosexual homosexual men, prostitutes, and people with infected partners. The new guidelines now include millions of girls and women in Africa. Health officials say the changes in the guidelines are needed since there isn't a vaccine on the horizon. About 37 million people around the world are infected with HIV. Only about 14 million are currently receiving treatment. Cost of implementing the new guidelines has not yet been determined. Let's head back over to Desiree to see what's going on in the entertainment world.
Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Usher are only some of the acts scheduled to be part of the Titles Benefit Concert. The event will be taking place this October in Brooklyn. Tickets are now on sale. The Billboard Magazine Woman of the Year award goes to, who else? Lady Gaga. She will be succeeding Taylor Swift, who won the award last year. More honorees will be revealed on the upcoming weeks. On another note, Jim Carrey's on and off girlfriend Catriona White has died of an apparent suicide. Los Angeles coroner says the cause of death cannot be determined until complete autopsy is conducted. That's all for entertainment. Now let's toss back to Melissa. CSUN students, don't forget this Friday is a sold-out big show. The show starts at 5 p.m. on the Oviatt lawn. Make sure to check out the rules online. Thank you for tuning in to Matador News. I'm Melissa Hernandez.
I'm Everardo Tamayo.
And I'm Desiree Lopez.
And I'm Mariah Robinson. See you next time.